Good afternoon, everybody. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Very good. All right. I apologize for the lighting and the sound. I am currently at the UT Southwestern Medical Center in the hospital down here. Got a relative in the hospital, so I'm doing my presentation from the phone room on the 8th floor of the orange section. So here's, I guess I wore the right color shirt today, orange. I'm in the orange section of the hospital. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. It's February 1st, 2024. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By excuse me, by participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just enter them into the chat window. For those on Facebook, please just enter your comments into the chat window. I am monitoring that feed and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Also, feel free in the chat window to put in your contact information, put in your name, position you're looking for, your LinkedIn address. Connect with everybody else who's on the call today. This is a great way to expand your connections. So you never know who will be able to help you in what you're doing. All right, we should have time at the end, as long as I've got my setup here correctly, to be able to review one or two resumes at the very end of this presentation. If you'd like to send it to me, send it to Jeff Morse Host. I would ask that you delete your header information so that, because this will be out on Facebook and YouTube forever and ever. So if you want us to look at your resume, just delete that top part, send it to me via the chat, and we will take a look when we get to the end of the presentation. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morse. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. My brain got really full and I had to do a dump. I had to do a download. Right now, it's about 75% full again. I'm going to have to come up with a second one here in the next year or two. Since 2007, I've been leading and facilitating the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. I'll tell you about our program we have coming up tomorrow morning at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the Practice Interview Team, also known as the PIT Crew. Remember this one very, very important fact. Your resume, your LinkedIn profile, they are not going to get you a job. What they will get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your phone calls. People spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, a lot of time on your resume. If you don't spend time practicing interviewing, that's where you could really blow it. So reach out to the Dallas Pit Crew for more information. Just go to dallaspitcrew.com. All right, here's our agenda today. Let me flip over presentations here. Let me see if I can make this work correctly. I think I need to do a new share. I'm not at my home computer today, so things are just a little different. Okay, got the orange one up there. All right, so we got the right screen up now. All right, let me get this up here. All right, so our agenda today, we're going to talk about the applicant tracking system. We're going to talk about a one-page bio. We're going to talk about a master resume. We'll talk about the key components of a resume. And then if anybody wants to submit their resume, we will take a look at those at the end of the session. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to just quote some advice from an expert. Charlie Zinger, some of you know, is with Career Management Associates. He's vice president in charge of Career Management Partners. And here's just some, perspectives. He tells you, keep these three perspectives in mind. Technology-wise, your resume must be ATS compatible. We're going to talk mostly about that today, what your resume needs to be looked at, formatted out to do that. And you've got to match your resume to the job posting. Back in the day, I remember when I was looking for jobs, this was back in the 80s when I got my first job, you took your resume, you took it to PIP, they went and they typeset it for you, and you had a one-page resume that you couldn't change, and that's all you could send out. Nowadays, with everybody having Word and you PDF it and you send it off, Everybody can send a custom resume. It's very, very important to do that. And we'll talk more about how to make it easy to do that here as we get going. You have got to pay attention to detail, how to use the words, the verb tenses. You cannot have any errors. I hope there's any English majors here online. If there is, I apologize. But a lot of English majors get into the recruiting business because they're good at reading and seeing things. And all it takes is one misspelled word, one tense in the wrong way, and they're going to pitch that resume out. Why? They've got 200-300 resumes to go through. They're looking for 10. Once they get 10 in the yes pile, they're done looking, and then they just start going more into that yes pile, and they'll start making phone calls. Style points, how to display multiple roles within one company. We'll talk about how to do that here in just a second. Some more things when he talks about, ATS compatibility requirements, and we'll talk about this when I get more into the presentation. You want Arial or Times Roman. I don't like Times Roman. I think Arial's the font to use. You never want to mix fonts. One font, do the whole thing. Fonts cannot be larger than 14 points, and they can't be smaller than 9 points. Oh, my resume is 3 pages. If I make it 9 points, it'll cut it down to 2 pages. You really don't want to do that, or if you want to increase your margins, and you don't want to do that because white space is good. You want to make it easy for people to read. All right. You don't want to embed anything. No headers, no footers. ATS systems do not like those. Your bullets should only be the round black bullet. No arrowheads, starburst, no little homes by your house address. Don't put a little telephone by your telephone number. If they can't figure out that that's a telephone number, you probably don't want them calling you. Fonts don't use any font colors. Now, some people will use, if you're going to PDF a font or PDF your resume to send to a person, you may want to put some stuff in blue, maybe a darker color, maybe, but no more than 2 colors. And you only want to really be very, very careful with that. I say stick with black at all times. No excessive bolding. If you do want to bold a few things, less is best, like what he says. No icons, pictures, or graphs. You don't want to do that because people are used to seeing a resume in a certain format, and that's what you want to give them. So let's talk about the resume versus the one-page bio. How many people have a one-page bio? Just raise your hand or put something in the chat window. Let me know that you're using a one-page bio. Moving a couple things around here so I can see the chat window a little bit better. No one-page bio. Okay, well, I recommend that people get a one-page bio, and here's why. When you send a resume out, you are screaming, help me, help me, help me. I'm looking for a job, okay? Some people get not offended by that, but they go, I don't really want to help too much. When you send out a bio you can use as a networking tool, because when you're reaching out to people, you're looking for advice and contacts. Unless they're the hiring manager, you're looking for advice and contacts. So when you first send something out, or they call you up and say, well, can you send me your resume? Send them the bio first, because that's a high-level document, and I'm going to show you what a couple of them look like here in just a second. A resume is going to focus on work history, where the bio focuses on your major accomplishments. Like I said, a resume is primarily a job search tool. A bio, you can use it for networking. You can use it if you're on a website, a company, a bio of who you are and what you can do, all sorts of great things. So here's an example. Let's see here. First over here. Here's an example of one of them. I know this is a little hard to read, and I'll show you where you can download all these sample documents. So, you don't have to screenshot or any of this stuff. On a bio, you put your picture. You put what you're good at. You put a background, a professional biography, just the companies where you've been. You list your education. Then over on the right-hand side, contact information and professional achievements and successes. So this is just a way, one page, to sort of tell somebody who you are. Great tool if you're going to go meet somebody at Einstein Bagel, or you're going to meet them at Starbucks. At least they know what you look like. Here's a different bio. I mean, this one's for, you can do horizontal, vertical, whatever you'd like to do. I've seen some that are actually 3-folded, 2-sided things that you could do too if you're mailing it out to somebody. But the one big difference here is over on the very right-hand column, he's listing target companies. The problem with this target company list is that if you're sending this, let's say you're sending this to somebody at Coca-Cola, and then you look at the list of, well, I see you've got Pepsi #1 on here, but you don't have Coke listed. I forget you, you're in the trash can. All right. So you've got to be very careful. Now, if you're sending this out to friends and family, and you're just trying to reach out to, some contacts, this is fine to list target companies because you're looking for help at a target company. But if you're sending this to a hiring manager or somebody at a specific company, make sure their company name is first if you're going to do this, or don't even list target companies at all. There's a great book. I don't get any compensation for it. I should ask her for compensation because I promote her book all the time. It's called Be Sharp. It's by Minna Brown and Paula Asanoff. The book it's 2 sections. The first half of the book tells people who you are, how to explain to somebody who you are, like your 30-second introduction. The second half of the book is all about bios. She's got like 30 or 35 bios in the back of the book. I think it's a great book. This is her bio over on the right-hand side. Now, her bio is much more of an ad slick, and I asked her for a copy and said, well, it was done by a printer, and they did it in some format that I really can't get hold of. They're like modified. But she's an executive coach and author, a public speaker. She's a trainer. She trains coaches and stuff. So this is a little bit more of an ad slick. So you can do anything to tell somebody who you are, what you do, and give them your contact information. All right, so let's talk about a master resume now. This is a very important document that I think everybody should have. I know in my house, I have a file folder in my file cabinet, and it probably has 20 or 30 resumes in it. Resumes all the way back from when I first started, that first resume that I had printed at PIP and it was typeset and 1-pager, to my most recent resume. What I recommend everybody do in a job search, take a couple hours, make a master resume. It can be 10, 15, 20 pages long. Include all the jobs you've had since high school. Include the names and contacts of supervisors, addresses of the company, as much detail as you can provide. Put all the areas of expertise, certification, software skills, 6, 7, 8, 9 bullet points underneath each one. And the reason being is once you do this, when you see a job that you're interested in, take your master resume, save it as whatever your naming convention is to save your document, and then eliminate everything that's not in the job description. Everybody's here has done a lot of really, really great things, but if they're not asking for it in the job description, they don't want to know about it. And what's the point? The point here is that you're trying to match your resume to the job description for them to see the match so that you'll get the phone call. Okay. Now, when you go see somebody and you could give them a different resume with more information on it, but just cut it down to what it is you've done. I see resumes all the time that have so much information on it. It's like, well, you're doing 15 different things here. I don't see how it matches the job description. So be very, very careful. All right, so characteristics of a good resume. The goal of a resume is to make it easy for the ATS system and job screeners to determine that you're a good match. How do you do that? You make your resume match the job description, okay? So some basic things we're going to talk about is formatting. Very important format. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the overall length of a resume, and then the number of years that you should put on your resume. Now, this is always a very interesting topic, and there's no right or wrong answer here. I'm going to give you 3 options, and I'd love everybody to sort of, in the chat window, go select what you'd like to do here. But first option is, do you show all of your experience? That's your master resume. But of course, you cut out supervisors' names and addresses. You limit it, you cut it down some. Second option is you show only the most recent 10 to 15 years. And the third option here is show detail about the most recent 10 to 15 years, plus a section called prior relevant experience. So in the chat window, tell me what you think. Which one would you use? I have a B, a C, and a C, and another C, a C, and a C. All right. Like I said, there is no right or wrong answer here. People have gotten hired doing all three things. Option A, if you're applying for a government job or a education job, they want to see everything. The government wants to know everything. So they always tell the government everything. An education job, a university, a high school, a college, whatever, they want to see it all. B, that's fine. Maybe if you've only been working 10 to 15 years. But I really personally, I like C. You tell them the most recent stuff, but by having a section called prior relevant experience, what you've done is that you have allowed yourself to tell a story, a star story, when you're in an interview from back then. If you were to tell a story and you didn't have that on there, and you could say, well, back when I worked at IBM, this was the problem and this was the situation. Here's the task, here's the action I took, and this was the result. They're going to look at the resume and go, well, I don't see IBM on here. Oh, well, I did that. I was there 20 years ago. By just listing the name of the company and the job title, no years, no bullet points, that gives you permission to talk about what you've done in the past. All right, what kind of fonts do you want to put on your resume? We sort of talked about this for a second. These are the fonts I like. I saw somebody in the chat said that they use Calibri. I think that's great. Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, Helvetica, those are the fonts to use. The reason I like these fonts is that they're clean and easy to read. The fonts I'm not a fan of are Times New Roman, Garamond, Cambria, or any of those fonts that have little serifs on it. That's a lot more difficult to read. Now, if you're preparing a document, an official looking document, fine, you can use those fonts. But for your resume, keep it clean and simple. You want to make it easy for the job screener to read your resume. Okay, margins. You've got to use 1-inch margins, top, bottom, right, and left. Because if your resume gets to the hiring manager and if they print it out, your resume won't get printed out to the very, very end. When it gets printed out, they want places that they can write notes on. They don't want to put sticky notes on it to write something on it because the sticky note could get lost. You want them to write on your resume. White space is good. There's nothing wrong with it because you make it easy for somebody to read. If you have border to border or edge to edge text, top to bottom in big paragraphs, all it is a big black blob. It's not going to be easy to read. Bullets, as we mentioned, it's okay to use the bullets that you see here, the little round dots, but that's it. If you can use a little bit of bolding, you could use a little bit of underlining, that's fine, but less is always better. And do not use any text boxes, any headers, footers, templates, shadows, or graphics, because many ATS systems cannot handle that. Okay, so how do we fill a gap on a resume? So you haven't been working for a couple of years. What's been going on? You could have been taking care of a parent. You could have, maybe you went back to school. Maybe we don't really know what the issue is, whatever it is. But here's a couple of things you can use. Community leadership, consulting. Maybe you've done some little consulting work over the last couple of years, but you really haven't had a full-time job. You don't want to list each consulting job. I was here for 3 months, here for 4 months, here for 6 months. You don't want to list that as separate jobs. You want to have one job that says consulting over that time period, and then you can list some details underneath that because that shows more continuity. And then you want to add a few bullet points to describe what it is you've done. If you're consulting work, even if it's pro bono, if it's something for a nonprofit, will work. If it's a volunteering work that you've done with some organization, do that. If you've gone back to school, if you've got some certifications, put that down there because people love to see that people are into continuing education and want to better themselves. So here's an example. This person says community leadership and consulting, served as a panelist and a coach of the Dallas Practice Interview Team to help job seekers with their interview skills. Provided consulting services to a local nonprofit organization on how to prepare and conduct job interviews and how to evaluate candidates. Now, that local nonprofit happened to be her church, but she's not going to mention her church's name because what if, Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Muslim, whatever it is, you don't want to offend anybody. You don't talk about religion, you don't talk about politics unless you're going to work for a church or a political campaign. Other than that, you don't mention it. So by using a local nonprofit, churches are local nonprofits, that sounds great. All right, so the key components of a resume: header, a summary, your key accomplishment area, and that's optional, we'll talk about that, your professional experience, previous relevant experience, optional section, but I highly recommend it if you've been working more than 15, 20 years, education and software skills. The only time you would put education at the very top is if you had taken a year or two off to go back and get your MBA or to get something special. Okay, your header, your name. Use the name you want to be called. Okay, my name is Jeffrey Morris, but I go by Jeff, so I'm going to put Jeff Morris on my resume. If you had a hard to pronounce name, I recommend in parentheses you phonetically spell out the name for them. Make it easy for somebody to call. If I had 3 resumes, I had John Smith, Joe Blue, and some super long name, I may not call that super long name because I'm not good at pronouncing those names. I may not, I don't want to slaughter, I don't want to mess up somebody's name. So if your name is hard to pronounce, put that in there. Phone number, city, state, and zip, email address, and LinkedIn profile. Always want to put your LinkedIn profile, always want to put your email address. Now, the LinkedIn address and email address should not be hyperlinks. When you type your email address and you hit return, it turns blue and underlined. You don't want that to happen. You want to do a right click on it, put your cursor on it, right click, and put on a remove hyperlink. The reason being is that if you had a Gmail account, the G is going to fall down and intersect with that line that's underneath there, and some ATS systems can't handle it. Okay? They'll figure out that an @gmail.com or @me.com, whatever, is an email address, and they'll put that in the right field. Okay? Same thing with LinkedIn address. Be sure to drop the hyperlink. If somebody wants to go there, they can just highlight it and then paste it in to a browser. Your summary profile. This is not an objective. It's not what you're looking for. It's not what you want a company, what kind of profession you're looking for. This is how you can help them. This is a 3-line maximum of what it is you can do to help their company. You want to make sure you pull keywords from their job profile, from the job description, and make sure that it's in here. You want to put the job title that they're applying for. In this case, we're looking for a business analyst job. If you've been a business analyst and you're filling a business analyst job, you put that on there. Now, if you've never been a business analyst, you may want to put a couple other words a little bit different that sound something similar with the same kind of skills. Tell the truth. You just want to tell the truth. The next thing is underneath that, you're going to put some areas of expertise. I recommend 9. I think 6 isn't enough. I think 12 is too many. I like the 9, but it's not a table. This is a tab, agile methodologies, tab, Scrum, tab, requirement gathering, return, tab, relationship management, tab, to get things lined up, just use tabs because then it'll get sucked into the system correctly. If you had it into a table, tables don't get read by many of the ATS systems out there. There are well over 300 different ATS systems out there. Now, 5 of them are in 80% of the businesses that are out there, but the other 20% use the other 295 ATS systems that are out there. And also, even though the 5 biggies that are out there, each one may have different options turned on and off. So they don't all act the exact same, and even the same system may not act the same from company to company to company. Now, if I'm going to interview in the pit crew, one of my questions I always ask is, so tell me what I see you've got 9 areas of expertise here. Tell me what your top 3 are. They better be the top 3 listed here or the top 3 on the left, okay? If you tell me, oh, I'm really good at user interface design, customer-facing roles, and improving processes, that's going to be really, really hard for me to gather. Well, why didn't you put those as the top 3, okay? Make sure these areas of expertise come from the job description too, all right? But a couple of them are from the job description. All right, key accomplishments. Now, this is an optional area. Usually salespeople use this, and this is where they'll go and they'll tell us some results. Here are 4 results about what I've done in my job search. In sales, business development, that's great. The problem with this is I want to know where you did these things at. So you've got to make sure that you list these down with the jobs so I can see where they were done at. Because for me, it's more important to know those things. All right, professional experience. First thing, your resume should be chronological. There's chronological resumes, there's functional resumes. I'm not a fan of functional resumes. Most people don't want to see a functional resume. If you sent one in, they would say, well, can you send me a chronological resume? Because people want to see things in order. They want to know what they've done in a certain order. You've got to be sure to use parallel verbs. Charlie Zinger mentioned this, and be using the correct tenses. If you're currently at a job, your tenses should be current. If you're no longer there, they all need to be past tense. So here, all the red ones are current tense, the blue ones are past tense. Now, you can't have a past tense at a current job. Maybe you worked on a project last year that's now complete, so it's past. You achieved a 50% improvement on a project that you worked on. But all your past companies need to be in the past tense. I recommend you use a 1-line description of the company, okay? No matter, it's amazing. I've been doing this now for 16 years helping job seekers. Oh, sorry about hitting my mic. I've been using this for 16 years helping job seekers. And one of the things that just amazes me when people mention a company and go, I've never heard of that company. Who is that? What do they do? So by adding a 1-line about the company, it helps the job seeker sort of have an idea. Now, I take it one step further on my resume, and I also put down report it to owner of the company, the vice president of manufacturing, so that I'm sort of saying, here's where I am in the hierarchy of things. So if you want to add that on there, you can. If not, sometimes I actually make it my first bullet point, just saying, I report to so-and-so, I supervised X number of people, I had X number of managers reporting to me, whatever that is. Limit the number of bullets per job, 5 or 6. No more than 5 or 6. And the reason being is that they probably don't have 5 or 6 bullet points on the job description. You want to make sure they match. If they're asking that, can you do this? You want to show them that you've done this in the past. I need to hire somebody who can do things faster, sell more product, deliver things quicker, deliver them without errors, whatever those are, show me those results. Very, very important. And you've got to be sure to focus on the results. Results sell. They will get you into your next job. If your resume reads like a job description, I'm not going to know what you did. I know what you were supposed to do, but I don't know if you did it. Show me results. Very, very important. Your bullet points, like I said, 5 to 6 bullet points. Your bullets should focus on results. Very important. Make sure they don't sound like a job description. Every bullet, so here's a great little game you can play called the So What game. Every bullet point in your resume, read the bullet point and then say, so what? Now, if you answered the so what, great, you've got a result. But if you don't have a result, you need to give us one. Here's an example. The original text somebody had was guided the next phase brand evolution for a multimedia artist and managed film production and publishing. So what? That's like a job description. That doesn't tell me what you did. I mean, it tells me what you did. I don't know how you did it. So what? Oh, well, that increased business opportunities, which led to 10 new commissions for my client. There's a result. So when we rewrote it, it was rewritten to increase business opportunities, including 10 new commissions for my client based on developing a full social or media PR strategy. Now, we had a speaker from, and I'll have him come back in the next couple months, out of the Houston area. And his whole thing is, tell me what you did, the words resulting in, and the result. And every bullet point should be formatted just like that. This is what I did, resulting in, and the result. Keep it in that format. It'll be real simple for the recruiter or anybody to look and go, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what they accomplished. Here's what they did. It's accomplished. I like that. It's really plain and simple. And I think it's really easy. Okay, what do you do if you've had multiple roles at one company? A lot of people, hopefully, you worked at a company. I know I worked at a company for 13 years. I had 6 different job titles. You know, I kept getting promoted up and up and up. All right. So what do you do about that? So number one is you want to list the company name once with the full range of dates. Okay. And you list that over on the right-hand side. Then the dates for each role are in parentheses next to the job title. Okay. If you were to have all those dates on the right justified, it could make you look like a job hopper. Oh, there for 2 years, there for a year, there for 2 years, there for 3 years. Okay, but by listing that you were at one place from 2010 to 2014, that shows longevity. That makes a big difference. Okay, and people like to see people who've maybe been promoted and can move up. What happens if a company's changed names? I'll tell you what, companies change names all the time. I was trying to think of a company I worked for back in like 2001, 2, and I couldn't remember the name of the company because they changed names since, and I can't think of what they are now. So, you know, companies change all the time. How do we handle that? You have 2 options. Number one, give the current name of the company followed by the old name, or you can give the old name of the company followed by the date of the merger and acquisition. We had a job candidate. I use this story all the time. He worked for Campbell Soup. There's a Campbell Soup plant outside of Dallas and outside the DFW area. And he said, yeah, but you know, the company got bought, then it got bought a second time. And they kept changing. They changed names. You know, because I asked this, I've never heard of that company. What do they do? Oh, they used to be the Campbell Soup Company. I said, that's the name that everybody knows what Campbell Soup is. Put that name first, and then put down the name of the new company acquired by whatever the name of the company is in that date, because that's the most famous name. That's what you want to use. You worked at EDS, and EDS has been acquired 2 or 3 times. You know, put down you worked at EDS, acquired by so and so. It'll make a big difference. Yeah, Lorenzo just put down worked for the Sabre Group, then bought by EDS, then bought by HP, then split off to HPE. So, you know, I know what the Sabre Group is. Most people who've been in the DFW area know what the Sabre Group is. And, you know, so that's why I think you put that in parentheses as far as what happens. And by listing EDS and HP and HPE, you know, you're also mentioning other companies that people know that were famous. Okay, education and software skills. This should go towards the bottom of your resume because that's where people are used to seeing those things. All right, so your education, you can list a degree, your major, city, state, and zip, or city, state, and whatever. Do you need to put the year you graduated? No, not important. Remember, here you're telling the truth. You don't have to you don't have to list all the details. You don't have to say the years. Listen, if it was 30 years ago, I graduated in 1980. People are going to figure out if they look at my resume, they'll be able to backtrack and go, oh, okay, you got your degrees in 1979 and 19 had 2 different degrees, 1979, 1980. They'll be able to figure that out. Underneath that, be sure to put a software skills section. Very important. Any software you've worked on, especially if it's in the job description. If they're looking for somebody who can do these things, list those software skills down. Now, let's say you don't have the same thing they're looking for. Let's say you don't have Visual Studio. You never use that, but you used a program called Canva. Canva is similar to Visual Studio. I would list Canva and in parentheses put similar to Visual Studio. Okay, that way you're not lying, but you're making that association with somebody on other programs you can use. Now, if you're a secretary, you don't need to list Microsoft Office because everybody knows Word, Excel, Outlook. You're doing those kind of things. If you're a accounting person, you better know how to use pivot tables and VLOOKUPs. But I would possibly list those on there. You know, instead of listing Excel, I would put down pivot tables and VLOOKUPs. It'd be more important. All right. If you don't have a degree, what should you do? School, the name of the school, city, state, the major or area of concentration, and then in parentheses, put the number of hours that you've got. You can also list expected to graduate December 2024. So that way you're telling people that you're still working on something. So don't lie, tell the truth. People will look, they will check these things out. If you remember the coach who got hired at Notre Dame, he was there for 2 weeks. He lied on his education, and 2 weeks later, Notre Dame goes and fires their coach. So tell the truth. All right, so we're going to look at a resume on the right-hand side, a job description on the left-hand side. What this person has done is they took a yellow highlighter, they printed out the job description just to visually to make it easy for them to sort of comprehend what they're doing. And they started highlighting what they think are important words on a job description. They then took their resume and went, okay, I had this word over here. What's important on there? So let's look at some matching here. They're looking for business analyst. So they put business analyst as the job title. Make it easy for them to figure it out. This is what you're looking for. They listed business analyst right there in the summary statement. Business requirements, improve processes, cross-functional, Agile, Scrum, Visual Studio. They're listing all these things, making sure those are highlighted there. Multiple sources, user manual. Use the same terminology that they have on a, that's on the job description. Make sure it's in your resume that way. Process flow, user interface design. They're getting those keywords. This is probably a pretty good keyword match when they went to match it up. So remember, keywords are very, very, very important, okay? Resumes are scanned. They are not read. The only person who may read your resume would be if you make it to like the final 10, the recruiter or whoever may look at that resume a little bit more detail when they call you up. And the 3 or 4 or 5 that go to the hiring manager, if the hiring manager is not running around like a chicken with their head cut off, they may spend time reading your resume. But nobody else is going to read your resume. It's not going to happen in the hiring process. Okay? A resume will not get you a job. It only gets you a phone call. That's why it's important to practice your interviewing skills. And you want to know why they called you. So ask them, hey, thanks for calling. What was it on my resume? What was it on my LinkedIn profile that made you pick up the phone and reach out? Because if you know what that keyword is, or what they're looking for, you then can be sure to focus your answers on those topics. Very, very, very important. All right, questions. I know I talked a lot. I'm going to open it up for questions here before let's see, what do I have next? Oh, let me look for resume. So let me get rid of that. We'll take a look here. Questions anybody has that they'd like to ask away.
Hey, Jeff, Susan
Yeah.
here. I noticed on your sample resume, you did not have months for the dates. Is that kind of another just preference and, kind of just if it seems logical based on your job, on your timeline versus, anyway, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that years is cleaner and easier to see. If you put down months and years, it's harder for me to sort of comprehend it if I'm scanning and quickly trying to figure out, do I want to call you? Okay. Yeah, when you fill out a job application, you're going to have to put down months and years. So you've got that on your master resume. But I think when you're submitting resumes online or that first initial time you send something in, just put down the years because I think that makes it, because if you work December of 2020 to to January of 2022, it looks like you were there for 3 years, or, nobody really knows 2020 to
Right.
2022.
Right.
So it just makes it a little bit different. So
Uh-huh.
that's my personal preference. Now, let me also say that you can get 10 resume experts, put them in a ring, and come up and have them battle it out for the perfect resume. There
Right.
is not, they're each
Right.
going to have what they prefer to see.
Yeah.
Whatever,
And
so
maybe it depends on, if you're a young person starting out and you've had 3 jobs in the past year, maybe that's more relevant or something. But yeah, okay, sure.
right, make it easy.
Yeah.
Anybody else questions?
I
Yes,
have,
Lorenzo.
I have a question. Your point on the bio sheet was interesting to me, but in effect, isn't that the same thing as your LinkedIn profile? And on top of that, I have something like a bio sheet, but it's actually a website that has all that information. So I can refer that to the website, and that's portable, that can be used anywhere instead of me having to carry that sheet around. So
And you're not going to be carrying that sheet around. What you're going to do is, well, if you went to a job fair, you should carry the bio with you. You should not carry a resume. But you're not really going to be carrying bios around. You're not going to hand those out if you went to a networking meeting. You're going to hand out a business card. And the point of going to those meetings is you want to collect business cards, not give them out. So your one-page bio, for the most part, is something you're going to email out to people, that you're going to send to people to go, hey, we're going to have, I know we're going to have a networking, we're having a networking call. I thought I attached my bio so you have an idea of who I am. And that's what you use it for. Because it doesn't, when you send out a resume, it just screams, help me, I'm looking for a job. And you never know what they're looking for. And until you've had a phone call with somebody and know what they want, how can you customize a resume to meet those needs? And, you said, so a bio versus your LinkedIn profile. If you were to print my LinkedIn profile out, it's probably going to be 4, 5, 6 pages long. That's not a summary of who I am. Now, my about section sort of tells you who I am, but a one-page bio is something I can use. When I'm giving a talk in a couple of weeks to the pharmacy department at the University of Texas State University, and I sent them my one-page bio that they're using to send out so people know who I am and why they should come listen to my talk. So it's a networking tool. It's a great way to sort of just tell people, and it's because when you're networking, you're doing 2 things. You're looking for advice and contacts. Who else can I talk to, and what do you suggest? Even if you know a company's got a job opening and you're applying at a company, you just want to find out information, and you want to get them to ask a little bit. Well, tell me a little bit about you. What is it that you're looking for? And so I just think that that's sort of a little bit better way to do it.
okay.
That answer your question?
Yeah. I'm still curious about like a web page that has additional information that you refer to. And after the call, I'll forward it over to you and if you don't mind, give me some feedback.
Yeah, I'll be glad to take a look. I mean, web pages are great. I mean, I think, especially before LinkedIn, nowadays everybody's using LinkedIn. Will they go to your web page? Now, if your web page has case studies that you've done, if it has things that people can look, they can go, here's more documentation, here's some things I've done in the past. If you've got case studies and stuff, but you can also do that on LinkedIn now. There's a spot on LinkedIn that you can put projects that you've worked on, and you can put all that detail, and that's just going to get you more keyword matches if people are looking, if you happen to have something in your case study that talks about it. But yeah, I mean, LinkedIn, everybody can't build a website. Listen, it took me a lot of help for me to learn how to build the websites that I built, and I break mine all the time. I do one thing and I go check it. Did it work? Oh, it worked. Okay, I'll do something. Oop, that didn't work. Undo what I just did to just do things. So everybody's not talented to build websites. But yes, I'll be glad to, send me your website and I'll be glad to look at it.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to look at it. Anybody else have a question?
Are there any variations depending on industry? For example, tech
Versus, as far as variation of what? Resumes?
versus a general business background or accounting background or marketing background. When you come to the tech skills, is generally very driven by the skill set. I'm just wondering if you see a difference when you look at a resume.
You know, I think a lot of the technical people, when I look at their resumes, they have a section up high, right? You know, you had those achievements, those 9 things, areas of expertise. A lot of times those 9 skills are technical skills, telling me that they've done C++, you know, AS400, whatever those are, if that's what they're looking for in the job description. Now, they may list it again at the very bottom along with their, you know, the software skills, but I think in technical thing, they'll put those technical skills as a section way up high, a little bit like key achievements. They'll list those kinds of things up real high because people are going to want to quickly go, does this person have the background to do this in the technical field? That's really the only change I've really seen. Everything else should be, I think, pretty much the same.
No problem. Thank you.
Anybody else? Let me look here. I thought I saw somebody sent me a resume to look at. Let me go find the chat here. Like I said, I'm not on my desktop, so this is my setup here is a little bit different. Let's see here. All right, here's a Jane Doe resume. I don't know, is that the first one I got? Let's see here. Yep, Jane Doe. Okay. Download it.
I've already made a bunch of adjustments during this call.
Or do you not want me to look at it? You want to wait until next time?
No, that's fine, because we can brush over those things or, you know, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Hold on, do this. Let's click to open it.
And I know a glaring change right at the beginning, which is my intro. Way too much.
Okay, and let me share the screen. Let's see here, where'd it go? Sorry about this. Like I said, I'm not on my home computer, so I'm not, here we go. Here, okay, so we're looking at Jane Doe living in Nashville, Tennessee. There's a very long phone number. Salesforce administrator, business analyst, QA specialist. Well, of course, when you apply for a job, you're going to pick the job titles that they're doing. You're not going to try to do this. So this is a template. So this is a resume that I would not submit to an ATS system. This would be a resume that's pretty, that I could send to a hiring manager. If I knew somebody's email address, this is something I could send directly to them. But if you sent this to an ATS system, I bet everything on the left-hand side would disappear.
I wondered. Yeah, okay.
Okay, because this is in some kind of field, as you can see up here. It would all disappear. So all they're going to see is what's over here on the right-hand side,
Mhm.
So yeah. But this is fine if you're sending it to somebody.
Right, but not for, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Let me just sort of go through your extensive experience. I enjoy continuing to expand my knowledge. You know, I don't really care what your preference is. I
Mhm.
need somebody to do this. Can you do this? Okay. So it's not what you need, it's what does the company need. Remember the whole thing in a job search. And if you get to talk to somebody, it's how can I help your company to succeed? I'm here to help you. What are your problems? Tell me what your problems are, and I'm going to help solve them. Okay. You need help with Salesforce? I know it. I can make it sing. Whatever you need me to do, I'm here. And that's how I think you need to focus this thing. People don't really, I would,
Gotcha.
I'd get rid of
I
that
have
totally.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep, makes sense, thanks.
Shellback saying that you're working remote, I think that's great. I would maybe put in parentheses just so that it sort of doesn't set out but yeah, that it's remote jobs fine. Because nowadays people want to know if you're a remote job, I would make sure that you put down that you're up in, especially in the very top, that you're, self-motivated, that you're, you don't need a lot of coaching, because some people are good at working in an office, some people are good working at home. you know, some people can't do both. Successfully led. All right, so I'm gonna read some. Successfully led data management, both manage a client. All right, I see what you were supposed to do. I don't really see any results.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, I understand.
And,
Um,
you know, I need somebody who can do these things, but tell me what the result was.
mhm,
Increase productivity. Now, people say, well, but I don't know what the results are.
yeah,
Estimate them, guess.
make something
Listen,
up, kind of, yeah.
I've never had in all the years I've done this, somebody call up and go, yeah, I'm trying to verify Susan's employment. Can you tell me, she told me that she increased productivity by 3.4%. That's never, ever happened. That will not happen. All they're going to do is they're going to go and say, did the person work here from 2022 to 2023? You know, and that's the only kind of stuff I would ever confirm. I would never go any more detail.
Isn't that legally all they're allowed to confirm?
Yeah, but you never know who's going to pick up the phone and
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Susan was here. Yeah, she was great to work with. Or oh, Susan was here. She was a pain in the butt. You
Sure,
know,
sure.
you never know who's going to pick up the phone. Legally, yes, they should only tell you the dates. And I never even confirmed salaries. And I said, well, what did they tell you? I'll confirm that. I'll confirm what they said. But
Mhm,
I won't even be the first one to tell somebody what somebody made.
mhm.
IT, I love you. Got a great sentence here telling what people, you know, telling what it did here. Oh, so here you work for this company, did several different jobs.
Yeah.
I would move the 2020 down to the solution consultant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I think-
because
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Oh, you know what? My point there was that is when this company became a Salesforce partner. So, but that is confusing. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Because I was a
Um,
solution consultant the whole time. It's the next job that I had multiple. So yeah, gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when you,
and see how this takes a lot of extra space here by adding by
Yeah.
all this extra thing on here.
yeah,
I
agreed.
would just do 2012, 2016. That's all that's
Yeah,
going to be important.
absolutely. Love it.
Right. And like I said, once again, manage multiple strategic accounts to grow relationships and develop additional business, resulting in,
Yeah.
and the result. You
Mhm.
know, just take this, result in. The other thing is by having the thing over here on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side, by having this template, what's happened is your sentences are smashed. You're losing 30% of your sentence. And I personally don't like sentences, bullet points to be more than two lines maximum.
Mhm.
And I'm not a fan of arrows. I mean, Charlie Zinger said, don't put arrows down. This is
Mm.
maybe okay for when you're just sending them a resume, but personally on a screen, you never know what's going to happen when it gets into
Right, right.
ATS system. So, all right, so you did all those things at one place, languages. And see, I would even put down, I would make sure your language that you speak French, I would put that up here I would put up here multilingual.
Yeah, I don't speak it that well
Multilingual.
though.
Huh?
I
You
don't
don't
speak
figure
it that well.
Okay. All right. So leave it at the
Yeah.
bottom. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bachelor of Science. Yeah, yeah, great, great, great. You know, in this section, this is a discussion we have all the time with interviewers. If you know the company you're applying to work, you know, one of their volunteer organizations or one of the things they do to give back to the community is Habitat for Humanity, you definitely want to put that on there. You
Mhm.
know, if there's certain things that they do, that's great. But other than that, you know, I mean, you know, here's what you did for Salesforce. You assisted with an inaugural event. Unless
Yeah,
it's like a
that was
whole,
that was important, but not anymore. When I was out of work for about 9 months, and it kind of showed, yeah, a gap there, and that's what I was doing. But yeah,
right, right.
Mhm.
And nowadays you don't have to put, you know, people talk about having their contact information on page 1 or page 2 and you list the same thing. Listen, nobody's printing out resumes like they used to. Nobody prints them out except for the final couple, and they're going to be together. So save that space. You know,
Mm.
I would say save the space to tell me something else.
Mm.
Maybe can you do maybe this banner on the first page only, and get rid of the banner on the second page so you can have full lines to put stuff, and maybe move community service volunteer at the very bottom, move education down like we talked about, because you'll have more space to make it normal like people used to saying.
Right,
Maybe something
right.
you want to consider.
Mhm.
So this is a different format. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. You ask me next week, you take all the suggestions I put on here, and next week you change it all. I'll probably give you more suggestions. You can give
Sure,
somebody
sure.
the same thing. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's
Ever
all there.
evolving.
It's all there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're almost at the top of the hour here. Let me just share a few more slides. Anybody have any questions? I've got time for a few more things before we go. Any other questions? Questions going once, going twice? All right, let me show you where you can download these handouts at. Oh, let's see here. Go to this. Oh, come here. Come on, screen. If you go to the careerusa.org website and you click on resources, right up here, click on resources. Then the next tab, let's see here, when you go down, as you scroll down that page under effective resumes, which I think are the very, very first thing on here, what will happen is you'll then be able to download any of these documents you see here. There is a sample T cover letter, a sample resume, which is what we had here today, both sample bios, and there's plenty of other bios online you can get to. I've also included action words. I think it's important that you start your bullet points off with an action verb. Okay, so here's some great action words that you can use to jazz it up a little bit, make it a little bit more exciting. So all that's on there. There's a lot more handouts if you go farther down that you may be interested in. And there's a link there that you can go back and watch any of the workshops that we've got on there. All right, Career DFW, Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting at 9:30 in the morning. We will have open forum. We will talk about whatever it is you would like to talk about, if you'd like, and you're welcome to offer your opinions and suggestions. And so, come join us tomorrow. We will ask everybody, we do meet in person. So if you live in the DFW area, come join us in person. We're going to go out to lunch afterwards. You can come join us for lunch after that. For those outside the DFW area, like Susan, who's in Nashville, if she joins us online tomorrow, have your camera on so we can see you. We'd like to see everybody's smiling face because we'll have all the faces up there on the screen. We'd like to know who you are. Next Tuesday, our LinkedIn presentation is, we do LinkedIn every Tuesday, 1 o'clock Central Time. How to use LinkedIn for job hunting strategies to get results. That'll be with Locke Alderson. Next Wednesday, the practice interview team will be meeting in person. They are only live on the first, second, third, and we only do a webinar session, online session on the 4th Wednesday of the month. So what I'm doing is for everybody in the DFW mailing list, you find out about the PIT crew. Everybody who lives outside the DFW area, you're getting a link to one of our recorded sessions, and we're going to sort of do them in order. This past week, I put out session 1. This week will be session 2. And you'll get a link of how you can go watch it at your convenience next Wednesday. Next Thursday, networking. Being the second Thursday of the month, we'll talk all about networking with Clayton Stockdale. Clayton runs the Fort Worth Career Search Network. And hopefully, I haven't heard back from him, but I sent him a note yesterday to confirm that he will be with us live. So that'll be on next Thursday. This session has been recorded. You will be able to go back and watch it on the Career DFW Facebook page or the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, if you haven't been there, just in YouTube, type in Career DFW, and we've got like 850 subscribers so far or something like that. Please subscribe to our list. What will happen is every time we pop a new video on, you'll find out about it. This video today will be up later this afternoon. It should be up by dinner time. I'm not going to be home for a couple hours, but I will get it up there a little bit later. And then click on playlist. Every video that I put on goes into a different playlist. At the very bottom, pick whichever list you like. And where it says, with that red arrow, view full playlist, click there, and then you can go back and watch any one of the videos with the different speakers we've had talking about resumes.
Jeff,
If
could
you-
you please show us how you landed on where you just were just before this slide?
This one?
This one. Yeah, how did you get here?
So if you go to the career, go to YouTube, and then just type in, go to
YouTube.
YouTube. I tell you what,
Where-
do you have the email I sent out today?
Oh, that's from the email? It's not from careerusa.org?
If you have the email that went out today,
Uh-huh.
on there, at the very bottom, it says here's a link that'll take you right to the playlist.
Okay.
So it's on every email I put out. It'll say, if you'd like to watch any of our videos, the link's right there. But if you go to the YouTube channel, type in Career USA, up should come. You should be able to find, look right next to that green arrow, you'll see Career USA.
Okay.
You should be able to find the link, click on playlist, and then that way you'll be able to get all the 8 different playlists that I have built.
Okay.
It's in the
Thank you.
email I put out every day.
Yep. Gotcha. Thank you.
If you'd like to join the Career FW, Career USA mailing list, you're welcome to join.
For my business.
We have over 15,000 members. Feel free to join. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group, but please make sure your profile is mostly complete. I will look at your profile, and if it's not mostly complete, why are you on LinkedIn? I mean, why are you joining a group? You're joining a group, you're on LinkedIn so that people can find you. If you're not receiving emails about our workshop, for those who are not, and you happen to just go to the Career DFW, careerusa.org websites, and you clicked on the link on that front page, you can join our mailing list. Just either scan this QR code or send a blank email to Career USA, +, subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 15 years has strictly been as a volunteer to help you in your job search. So thank you for joining us today, everybody. Have a great Thursday, and we hope to see you tomorrow morning. If not, we'll see you one day next week.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much.